Hi there, and welcome to this interesting episode of Fantasy for the Ages, the show where father and son sit down and talk about fantasy things. I'm the son of that equation, Zach.
And I'm the father, Jim. Thanks for joining us here today. When you do mix up our intro just a little on purpose, sometimes it causes random things to hit my mind. So you just said, this time, interesting episode. I'm like, so other times we're not?
I mean, interesting was the kindest word I can think of for
Ouch!
the
Wait a second,
possible
what?
craziness this could be,
Okay,
or the less organized chaos that it more likely is.
and that is definitely what we're looking for here today. If you saw the title and didn't just go to the next thing in the feed on our episodes, you saw this is called Zach and Jim Unplugged. And
Notably, I'm still plugged in.
well, I don't know, your quality on your image today is suffering, so maybe you're like partially plugged in,
You know
or
what? I didn't
Broly
check
was
that.
chewing on the cord or something.
Possible, unlikely, but possible. I'll have to have
Hmm.
words with them and find out.
I was talking to someone else just yesterday
Mm-hmm.
about your dog.
About my
And
dog?
yeah, and this is something that's in another episode that you weren't part of. It's a Just Jim, and I was talking with someone. And you'll see it eventually if you actually watch it. And it's an episode I think you should watch. I'll tell you this one. You should watch it. But I tried to tell this person about your dog.
Mm-hmm.
This guy's a total dog lover. And I said, he's got this great name. I mean, they call him Roly, but that's a nickname. Really, for those who are into D&D, the name is Roll for... Oh, crap. What was it? And I blanked completely. I could not think of what. What in the world? And it finally came from me. Initiative, roll for initiative. And he's like, oh, okay, I get it. But I'm like, I just,
It's
yeah,
okay.
there was
You don't know
nothing there
your
in the moment.
grandpuppy's name. It's fine. Look, you get a slight
Rolly.
pass because you haven't actually gotten the chance to meet him in person.
That's true. We're going to try to
The
fix
only
that.
pass you get. But
We talked about maybe coming down in August, and then your mother thought about it some more and went, don't you remember? It was freaking hot in Texas in August.
oh yeah, it's awful.
So we might be readjusting to maybe look at some November dates. November's a pleasanter time, right? Not around Thanksgiving. Maybe like the same time frame we went to New
Early.
Orleans with you. You know?
We can
We'll,
talk. We can talk. We can
yeah,
figure
we'll
that
have
out.
your people and my people get together and figure it out.
Also known as Rach and Mum.
Possibly. Although
The people who
Rach probably is into geeking out about scheduling and setting things up. Your mom's like, take care of it.
I don't know about into, more just like she is generally a planner when it comes to scheduling, simply
Okay.
because we do things. We try to do things. I'm leaving town next week because we're supporting some of family, and um, it's just like making sure we move all the pieces together. Tomorrow, I'm going to San Antonio for a day because I have a friend moving. It's
Remember the Alamo.
I've been there. I remember it. A lot of people apparently go, what? And
Well, that's sad.
it's a little bit. I kind of sit here and go, look, I know not every education system focuses on things like history, geography, anything, but still, come on.
And people who forget the past are doomed to repeat it. So you forget the Alamo, you're going to find yourself stuck in your house surrounded by hordes of zombies someday, and there's no way out. That's what you're asking for.
I mean, that might happen anyway, but you won't know what to do.
The people in the Alamo didn't know what to do. It
No.
did not end well. All right.
Anyway,
We're already going off on randomness, which is what this episode is all about. So we hope you all enjoy it. Give us some feedback. Like the episode if you do like it. There's a place where you can put your comments. We always like to hear from people. That's fantastic. And in the show notes, you'll also see the ways you can connect with us on social media, Discord, email. Just give us a shout out. We're happy to hear from you. Dude, what are you drinking today? Anything?
it is 10 in the morning. I'm not
Yeah.
drinking yet.
Dude, 10 in the morning is 5 o'clock somewhere.
I got a lot of things to do later on today as well, including driving, which means no drinky drinks. And the first thing that I'm doing is picking up groceries. that we ordered, which means I have to wait that long until I can make coffee because I'm out of coffee.
Now that's brutal. That's
Yeah.
bad planning. Don't let yourself run out of coffee.
Well, here's the thing. I ran out beginning of this week, and it was fine because I don't often make coffee in the morning during the week at home because I go to work and we have like Keurig K-Pod stuff. I make coffee at work. It's fine. It's not that bad. But the weekends, I like to make myself a pot and work through it through the day, and I don't have any right now.
Well, you said it's 10 o'clock by you. It's 8 a.m. for me. I rolled out of bed early so we could
So
get on
drinking.
the screen together here. So I'm definitely drinking coffee.
Okay.
Coffee. And I love the green screen effect on our
it catches on the mug.
Because
Gives us a nice background there.
yeah, the logo for us is that perfect green screen green. So it's just great. But the coffee inside is delicious. And I have a frog in my throat. So sorry, guys, if I'm going to just be hacking up all through the episode now.
That's okay. I just passed it through to you. It's a virus.
Great. We don't joke about passing viruses to people, though. Dude, do you remember that pandemic thing?
I had to have a little play on words with our tech situation here. Also, you really asking me if I remember it?
Of course, I'm the one that still never caught it. As far as I know.
There you go.
Okay.
It's more than likely you probably did.
But I was fully vaxxed, so I didn't even know I had anything.
At the very, very beginning.
Oh, that maybe. That could have been my true inoculation, that I had it before anybody.
Yeah.
It's possible. Okay. First topic. I'm going to throw some things out here for us to chat about.
Okay.
We do have a Tri-Reader tournament kicking off right
now.
Yeah. We are now the sole operators of these Twitter tournaments of this literature sort amongst those who follow a group of content creators like us. Fantology podcast, they'd been doing it, and then we had started doing alternate months with them, and now they're taking a break. They're like, no, 2.5 years, we're good. And I went, 2.5 years? That means they started doing that about the same time we started doing content creating.
Has it been that long?
Yeah. It has been that long.
I want to not believe it, but I think I do. I think I believe it.
Technically, we will be 2.5 years next month.
June.
Yep. But so, yeah, okay, we can roll one of these out each month. And this topic this month is getting some attraction. I mean, we're getting a whole bunch of new blood coming to it going, I got game for this one. Best despicable protagonists. The heroes of stories, or at least part of the hero group, but the person themselves, they suck. They're not a good guy or gal, and there's a lot of them from science fiction and fantasy you can draw from.
Oh, absolutely. And I think despicable is a good word because there are some where it's like, you hate them. But you hate them because they're whiny and kind of useless, but they're the protagonist and it's fine, whatever. And then there's others where you hate them because they're brutal and effective and you don't like their methods. Are they really a hero or are they just the good guy for this story? And those, I think,
hands
are really
in the air like you just don't care. That's these guys. They just don't care. They do their thing.
I think the best despicable protagonists, though, you get to see inside their head occasionally, and they do care. But for one reason or another, they can't, they don't, they whatever. Big one for me right now that I would probably put in because I've been reading it is First Law trilogy.
Which one? There's plenty you could have pulled from.
There's a bunch I could pull there.
And people are submitting First Law names into this.
Gotcha.
But you can't think now. Logan Nine Fingers?
No. Solt. Something Dan Solt. What's the first name? That's the problem I can't pull out right now.
Solt.
It's the Inquisitor guy.
No, Sendenglocta. You're thinking of
Glockta, that's it.
Glocta.
Soltis, the Archlector.
Yeah, so there's so many options you could choose from, from First Law.
Granted,
Yeah.
I think where I'm gonna guess this ends up going, because I have not read the third final book yet. I think the best from the series to actually put out there as despicable protagonist would be Baez, first of the Magi.
Well, we'll see. We'll see. The first name that was submitted to the tournament, I was like, wonder how long before this one shows up. And it was literally in the first name in the first entry that came within like 2 minutes of me releasing. We're taking Jorg of Ankrath. Now that's from the Mark Lawrence's Broken Empire trilogy. You
Gotcha.
haven't read
I haven't read that yet.
But he's the prototypical despicable protagonist. It was perfect. So love to seeing that one come in. I am curious what other despicable protagonists come to mind for you. You came up with one there. There was one other I was thinking. It's a throwback that I was hoping somebody would submit, and it has been submitted. And that's Raistlin from the Dragonlance Chronicles and Legends. Raistlin Majir.
I have one that I think I wouldn't put it in my top 3 that I would be listing, but I think it has merit, and it also would start fights. I'd bring Randall Thor in as a despicable protagonist.
Okay, there is Darth Rand for a while. I'll give you that, but it's just a period of time.
Your definition of despicable and mine are vaguely different, because yours is like they're the bad guy, but they're a good guy. Like they're a bad person, but a good guy. And I'm sitting here going, no, if I despise this person, that counts. I don't care why.
All right. Well, again, it's all subjective. I got one to throw at you. A couple people have submitted 2 different entries, and I haven't read this yet. So Locke Lamora has been submitted.
He is a bit of a bastard, a gentleman bastard, but a bastard nonetheless.
So that seems appropriate to you?
Yeah, especially as you keep going on.
Okay,
poor Jean
fair.
Putting up with him.
Of course, we've got a few characters showing up from A Song of Ice and Fire.
Of course. That one feels like low-hanging fruit, I'll be honest.
And there is more from First Law trilogy, or I shouldn't say trilogy. There's more from the First Law world showing up. So there are more books. There's some standalones, another trilogy.
One of those
apparently, there's additional bastards and despicable people we're going to meet along the way.
This is one of those series where it's simultaneously the name of the series and the name of the trilogy, and you're like, that doesn't happen and exist. And I'm like, right here. It did it.
Yeah. There are more books going on my TBR, of course. I'm some of these entries are things. Oh, I've got that on the TBR. I need to raise it higher because
so many people are talking about it.
But there's a few I hadn't heard of yet. So,
speaking of things we haven't heard of and done, I texted you the other day, yesterday, about that book Wool. Had you heard of that at all?
Never. I don't even know what it is.
I saw a commercial while I've been watching the NBA playoffs because Rachel loves me, and we figured out how to make that work because I wanted to watch the Warriors-Lakers series.
Is it over? Is it still going on?
It's currently 1-1. Lakers took the first, and then the second, the Warriors blew them out like 30.
Go Warriors!
Absolutely. Anyway, a commercial came on for this show. It might be new. It might be the second season. I think it's going to be new, called Silo.
That's on Apple Plus, isn't it?
Something like that.
I saw a commercial for it.
It looked interesting.
It did look interesting.
Pretty interesting. And then, as coincidence would happen, the next day at work, one of the doctors that I've talked to before, I handed to him a copy of Warbreaker. He really liked it. But we've been talking about getting some of the docs together, and he's included me to have like a little book club at work. He was talking about how in their partner meeting, one of the other docs had mentioned this book that was getting turned into a series that looked interesting, very sci-fi, and was going to try reading it. So I reached out. I think it looks interesting. It's a trilogy, but with more books as well. And
so... Is that what Silo was made from then? Is that what you're saying?
Yes, it's Wool, Shift, and then Dust is the trilogy, but Silo is the show being based off of it.
Okay.
Loose
More to
premise:
add.
post-apocalyptic, people living in a silo or something along those lines.
Okay. All right. Let's see. Other things to talk about. You did note that below me on the background is Buzzard's Bowl now.
Yes, that's not quite out yet, is it?
June 1st is when it drops for purchase. I did
Exactly.
pre-order it, but as of last night, I have an ARC copy now to review. So I talked to John Palladino, the author. I saw a few other people were reviewing it already.
Mm-hmm.
They clearly had gotten the ARCs, and I'm like, hey, what about me? Come on. I didn't say it that way. I literally put in his Discord, okay, feeling a little jealous that people have already been able to read it. I guess I just have to wait till my copy's available June 1st. And he hits me up. Did you want an ARC? I'll give you one. Like, yes. So I have to finish book 2 of Malazan, which
Mm-hmm.
is what this
Right,
orange
right
thing
over.
down there
Right.
is. Yeah. I'm at like 87%. I'm right there, but that could still, if I don't work at it hard, that could still be 2 weeks. This book is so long. It's great, but so long. But as soon as that's done, Buzzard's Bowl now has pushed a couple other things aside. I gotta read this book.
Hmm.
So that's a plug. Yes, it is. Shameless plug. If you
I'm
haven't tried The Tragedy of Sedaine, Book 1, The Trials of Ashmount by John Palladino, you're behind because Book 2, Buzzard's Bowl, is about to drop. It's excellent. Zach,
I
you
enjoyed the
read.
first book, and I am actually planning to read the second. I've got so a couple of days ago, I went through and reorganized my shelves, moved some of the books I'd read to a different shelf, all that stuff. And anyone who looked at my shelves, like almost anyone, would hate how I have them organized right now because I have them currently organized in TBR order.
Oh, interesting.
But I
You have a
also,
physical TBR.
yeah, but I also have designed my TBR to not go all in one series at a time and instead do like a book from this series, a Dresden book, a book from a different series, a Dresden book, back to this series, so as to give me some variety and still move things
Sure,
around.
sure.
So it looks disgusting in terms of organization, but it's pretty nice. And
But you
Buzzard's
understand.
Bowl is probably actually going to sneak in kind of wherever once it comes out because I'm interested. I'm looking forward to it, and I'd love to talk about it a little.
Now, Dresden Files, you got it interspersed, and that is indeed how I tried to start reading it, but they got too good, and everything got pushed away by book 4 or 5.
See, it's a weird thing. I'm almost having the opposite experience where when I read it, I can blow through them. It's fine. But occasionally getting started in another book, I'm just like, eh. And so I'm wondering, do I space them out further instead of doing only one in between? It's
Well,
fine,
we'll
but I'm not
see.
enjoying it as much as you have.
Okay, we're all different. We bring different perspectives to what we read, different preferences, different life experiences. So that's legit. I hope it'll catch on for you because again, it's one of my favorite series.
Maybe it's just the fact that you're from Chicago. Maybe it just clicks.
Go Cubs. I only sort of care. Going on. I did just do an episode yesterday. I referenced that earlier, but now I want to say exactly what that was about. I was having a beautiful interview episode with Mark Tufo, author of Zombie Fallout, Indian Hill, Lichen Fallout, a bunch of different series that he's got out there that are all quirky and fun related to zombies and werewolves and vampires and the paranormal and alien invasions. Basically, as he told me, he writes what he enjoys. So he's got all this different stuff because he likes all this different stuff.
I'm a
He
little
was a
concerned if he's a fan of getting invaded by aliens or taken over by
no,
zombies or werewolves.
he's a
I'm
fan of
concerned for
reading
him.
about it,
Oh,
not a fan
okay,
of
okay.
experiencing
I
it.
just
Yes.
you worded it a specific way. I was curious.
But he was a cool dude. I really enjoyed spending time talking with Mark. We had a great conversation talking about his stuff and other random things. Um, he lives in Maine. I mentioned I want to be in Maine this summer. He's like, we should get together. So we might. get together when we're out there, which would be fun.
Nice.
He's about my age, so we're contemporaries. It was cool. But one thing he said on there turned me into, okay, I need to go back to Zach, and I need to challenge him now.
Oh no.
Because you've said this isn't really your thing. I mean, zombie apocalypse and stuff.
No,
But
but I will say you going zombie Fallout, not really interested. Like in Fallout, a little more interest.
all of his books, though, have a certain vibe to it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And he said, and I would agree with this, all you have to do is get book 1 of Zombie Fallout and read the first chapter. And if you're liking it, keep reading, because you've just got the flavor of everything you're going to experience.
So
I mean,
it
there's
gives
a
you
lot
the
more.
vibe up front, and that vibe will not change throughout the entirety
No, it's going to be
of all of his
consistent.
writing.
You get the sense
Which is
of
good.
where he's going and the humor that he interlaces into everything. And yeah, that was it. That's what he said. And I was
In
like,
a
that's pretty
weird
accurate.
way, because I'll be honest, what I'm about to say is going to make it sound like it doesn't make sense and it's nonsensical. In a weird way, that reminds me of something that I was hearing about at JordanCon when we were talking a little bit about comfort fantasy. Which isn't to say that this is comfortable or comfort fantasy necessarily, because it's probably not so cozy. But the idea that sometimes you read for having those vibes, you enjoy those specific vibes, you know what you're going to get, and you keep going back to it because it's what you want.
I would say it's safe to say Zombie Fallout is a bit of cozy fantasy, though, because one of the primary elements of each of the series that he writes are the characters and their comfortable relationships with each other. There's constant banter and joking between them, which is partly how some of the characters just diffuse the tension of the situations they keep finding themselves in.
I mean, that's valid. I do it.
Exactly. So would I. And that's what I love about his writing. These are just regular people. You're not finding any Mad Max type who's going to bring people together and protect them from the hordes. No, it's just a regular Joe and friends he makes, and it's fun. So if you want to know what you might do in a zombie apocalypse, okay, Zombie Fallout probably is a little more realistic. Check it out.
Some people are Mad Max crazy, whatever. Some people just are in their daily lives, and maybe that's more akin to them. But no, I'm definitely the kind of person where I have to apologize in social settings or like especially professional ones if we're doing something serious, and I'm like, I'm gonna still be snarky even though this is a problem. I'm sorry.
You have a problem with snark, don't hang out with us too much.
Well, it's sometimes the thing where it's like we're trying to make sure that this kid doesn't have to go to the hospital, but I'm still gonna crack jokes. Like, it's gonna happen.
No, that's good. Okay, you got that from me. You do it in your own way, but I'm known for that. We'll be in meetings at work. We're talking about some serious stuff and debating matters, and then I'll just flow in with a very serious comment that is entirely humor. And there's a beat, and then everybody starts laughing, and I just diffused things, but the stuff hits your mind. You open your mouth and it comes out. That's just how we work.
Look, I learned from Shrek very early on, better out than in.
Can't argue with that. All right. Other things that are going in right now. Let's talk about some of the books, some of the other books we're reading. I'm on book 3 now of the Wayward Pines trilogy. Give a shout out to Spencer at the Fantasy Files for recommending this to me. And he recommended it so hard. He's like, you got to read this. And I put it way up on my TBR. Spencer was not wrong. Spence, you were onto something. This is a great trilogy. It's science fiction.
Okay.
With a mystery element. So, you don't know what's going on and you're discovering. Yeah, through the main character's POV, you're finding out what's happening and discovering, wow, and I won't reveal stuff because that would be a surprise, ruin part of the first book. But I just started book 3. These are easy to consume, really, really well written. Blake Crouch is the author, and I've added other things to my TBR that he's written because of these books.
Nice.
Yeah. How about you? What's something you're on right now?
Let's see. We're still going like low to no spoilers for this, like regardless of what we're talking about, right?
Pretty much, yeah. Unless you want to give a spoiler warning, and it's something, of course, that I've read.
You've read it. No,
So is this a spoiler warning, Zach?
no, I'll
No.
keep
Spoiler light. All right.
light. Um, so I read through Shadows of Self recently. I finished that one, second book
Okay.
in Mistborn Era 2.
Yep.
And I was giddy at certain times that certain best characters I've ever enjoyed just because they're fun in
Giddy.
certain ways
Ooh.
were around, maybe even involved. I'm being as vague as I can on this one, but if you know, you know. I went to Rachel and said, "Do you care about spoilers?" And she said, "Nah, I might get to that one eventually, but it's a ways off if I do." And I said, "This person," and she went, so.
Okay. Well, I'm glad you enjoyed that. You've got 2 more to go then. And
Yeah,
they
it's
just
a little
get
ways
better.
off, but
They just get better. Yeah, that
Um,
series ends with a punch. It's fun. Not a bad punch, just like, yeah, wham,
punchline.
boom. Yeah. Of course, I mentioned earlier, I'm still working through Malazan.
Mhm.
So book 2, Dead House Gates. It's amazing to see how much of a book can be about people moving from point A to point B.
Isn't that most fantasy books for the past 100 years?
But not like this. This
Let's
is
be honest.
different.
The Lord of the Rings is about people moving from point A to point B.
Yeah. No, quit giving me crap about that and hear what I'm saying, okay? This is different because in each case, it's not just a journey. It's like a constant escape and attack and non-stop people running for their lives. And not just one group, like multiple different plot lines, and they're all fleeing in different ways. And a long book. And yet it's still very interesting. You're just, okay, whatever, Dad.
No,
I
I'm
don't
sitting here
think
going,
you're honest.
without context, it's cool, but it also doesn't sound that bizarre. I'm like, other things do this
Some
too.
things, I guess, you can't
Maybe this
bring out
does
of
it
your
better,
brain
but
and
other
communicate
things
well.
do it too.
Anything else that you're reading that you want to shout out?
Let's see. I'm working my way through Republic of Thieves, third book in the Gentleman Bastard sequence.
Okay.
Locke Lamora is indeed kind of a bastard.
So I got to get that up on our screen. Republic of Thieves. Got to add that.
I'm finding myself in this book in particular. It has a format of some that are going on in the now of our story and some stuff that goes back to like some childhood flashback kind of things here and there. Finding myself really enjoying the childhood flashbacks a lot more than the actual active story.
Okay.
Maybe it's just because Locke is getting more and more despicable and unlikable and stuff. Maybe it's other things, but I'm liking some of the flashbacks better. I don't know why.
Okay, fair.
I said I was working through Dresden. I'm currently on Blood Rights.
Okay. I got to plug that in. So Republic of Thieves and Blood Rights need to go on our background. I'll get them up there. That's what
I'm currently reading, yeah.
All right.
Other media stuff, not always super fantasy, but we'll get there. Rach and I finally finished watching through all of Bones.
Okay.
Very enjoyable show.
Great show. Yep.
But it's done now. We can move on. So the next thing on, by her request, I am watching through. She loves the show. I've always wanted to kind of watch through it. I've tried a couple times with her, and we just got to other things. So we're watching The Haunting of Hill House.
I've not watched that.
We're a couple episodes in now. It's very good, and very good both from like a story aspect, but also just how it's written, how it's filmed, the shots, the different aspects, the cuts, transitions. Beautiful. I know at one point there is like a 12-minute one shot, one take.
That's pretty long. 12 minutes?
Let's go a step further. It's 12 minutes across multiple timelines where the set drastically changes. They had to build a house that was like parts of it were one thing and other parts of it were totally different look, but it was all one house interconnected, so that the interchanging cast of adult and kids could interweave through on this one take that is 12 minutes long. And I'm so impressed. I haven't even seen it yet.
Okay. All right. So that's something you're watching. I am up to finally season 6 of Vikings.
Okay.
I did some traveling for work recently, so a lot of airplane time, which is a great time to watch, binge through episodes.
Or read.
Vikings has been a really good show.
Yeah.
Prime Video. And some people I know don't think it holds quality in later seasons. And I'm like, well, no, it just changes. It changes the character focus and all, but I'm still enjoying it very much.
Good.
Kind of stalled out on the Legend of Vox Machina.
Okay.
Because I don't think your mother was getting into it. Like at first she was playing along, it was fine, and it's just not her thing. So now I have to find time to watch it on my own. And I was working on Vikings on my own, so I'll get back to it.
So it worked and clicked better for you than you expected. Maybe not so much for Mom.
Yes, totally.
Okay.
I do have one more thing I'm going to be reading soon. I know I've shouted out that I got this.
Ooh, I didn't see that you got that. I'm excited for you.
Look how thick that thing is.
I don't care that thick. I'm kind of jealous because I haven't gotten it yet, and now I need to get around to getting that.
I was literally about to buy it in Audible format when I was notified by another Twitter account, Lord TBR's Twitter account. He'd had a drawing because he got 2 of these. By accident. Like they were preview copies to go ahead and read and review, and they sent him 2. So he's like, so I'm gonna give one away, and all you had to do was like retweet and like it, and so I did, and I got drawn.
Amazing.
So he sent it, and then he notified me like just minutes before I would have bought it on Audible. So I'm like, yay! But therefore I haven't done it yet. So because I'm like, okay, now I have physical copy, I must read it this way.
So what I'm hearing is once you read it, you're sending it in the mail to me, and then once I read it, I'll send this. Will be the Night Angel nemesis of the traveling pants.
This is such a beautiful book. I don't want to risk putting it in the mail again. No, I'm so thrilled it came in one piece and not dinged or anything. Okay. It's pristine.
Speaking of beautiful books, I have to be very careful saying this because technically speaking, the person it's in relation to could see this. I don't think he's going to. I don't think he watches regularly.
Okay. This is about Brendan?
Yes, I got him a birthday present.
Because I knew he was coming to visit.
Shh. Rach doesn't know.
Oh.
It's supposed to be a surprise, but I had to ruin it for reasons. Okay.
I don't know if you can read. Yeah. We can read it. Warbreaker. Yep.
So I got the really pretty leather-bound one for him.
Oh, there's a little money in that.
He's worth it.
Okay.
But it was something where like I reached out and was like, okay. And I reached out months ago. By themselves, which one of these do you like the best? And so I listed a bunch of the like first book or standalones in the Cosmere stuff, some of which there are pretty leather versions and some of which there are not. And I was just like, which one? And he's like, well, I haven't read that one or that one. And I'm like, that's okay. He's like, but I've read that one, then that one. And he's like, Way of Kings for the series? Absolutely. But just as a standalone book, I really liked Warbreaker. I'm like, well, now you're getting the pretty book.
Fair. Warbreaker is a nice standalone. Technically, it's not because it is part of the Cosmere. It blends into everything.
Also, technically not because there will be a sequel. It's just not out yet.
Yeah, eventually, we'll see if he gets around to it. He's writing so much.
We'll get there.
Okay, segue. New topic. I was just in New Orleans again. Love anytime I can get to New Orleans.
New Orleans is always great. You probably put on like 15 pounds in drinks and beignets.
Well, there were some drinks and there were some beignets, but there was a lot of walking to try to work it off. I'm not sure that worked. My hotel was just 3 blocks from Café du Monde.
Ooh, that's rough.
And that might be
In a good
stretching it. It might
way.
be more like 2.5 blocks.
One of those blocks was going down some flights of stairs, except you took the elevator.
I only went twice. I was only in town for 3 days. So
That's
once,
impressive. You made it at least one day that you didn't go.
that's right. My first morning there, I went for a 3-mile walk and stopped at Cafe Du Monde on the way back for breakfast. So beignets and cafe au lait, and then
Nice.
finished the last 2.5 blocks back to the hotel in a shower.
Speaking of Cafe Du Monde, I mentioned earlier I'm out of coffee. Needed more coffee. The coffee I finished was the Cafe Du Monde stuff that I got when we were back there.
Okay.
And we found out not that long ago that HEB has those apparently. So I have another can of that now.
There you go.
Shortly later today.
Yeah. Beignets are something special. They're not really good for you, I can't imagine, but they're
No,
quite tasty.
I have a box still to make that eventually, and the biggest reason I haven't is because I don't know if I have a deep enough pan to feel comfortable frying in oil.
Yeah, and that is not something I could make in an air fryer instead, because you
I mean, it
need
tells you
that
not to.
greasy oiliness in a beignet. You've got to.
The directions told me like an inch of oil in the pan and frying it in that or something or other, and I was like, that sounds great. I need to be mentally prepared to deal with making sure I don't get a grease fire or something.
And when you do that, because I've done that in a pan, not for beignets, but for other things, frying it makes a horrible mess because that grease spatters everywhere. So be ready to clean up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Of course, I spent a little time on Bourbon Street too.
Of course.
It was so loud. It wasn't real packed with people, but it was really loud. A lot of
Always loud.
places across the street from each other that all have, cover bands doing things, and they're just really loud. But down towards the end, I stopped at the O Bar. Did we do the O Bar when you were there too? Just a cool jazz group in the corner, and they really classic cocktails. They make it in true style. I'm not sure I was, or it was just with Mom.
Bar. We did the mahogany something or other jazz thing where we did the absinthe.
Yeah, that's a different spot. We didn't stop at that one this time.
I don't think we did.
I know we did the O Bar though, because it was on the cocktail tour that we did.
It? Which one
That's
was it?
how we found it.
I don't remember which one it was.
And I had a Sazerac there.
That one?
Anyways. It's not the one where we originally had a Sazerac. I don't remember which drink we'd had at this place.
Did we sit inside or outside?
Inside, and it was a very dark place.
Did it
It was connected to a hotel where the bathrooms were. I don't know if it's on a corner.
So it wasn't the Yellow Brick Road one. It was
right across the street from the Vampire Speakeasy. That one.
Yeah. Yeah, that one was the Yellow Brick Road one that was across the street from the Vampire Speakeasy.
Okay. Well, I don't remember that, but there was no element of that in there now. So that must have been a temporary thing.
Oh, no, it was just a thing on the floor to get to the bathroom.
Yeah. Okay, I kind of remember that. Yeah, I think that was that place, but there was no Yellow Brick Road now. Or I completely missed it, but I'm pretty sure there was no Yellow Brick Road.
I think you went in a different place that was near the place.
No, this was the place, because Mom and I went back to it when we were there last November. This is like now my favorite bar in Bourbon Street. It was great.
Nice.
Yeah. Anyways, enough of that tangent. Moving on. Are you a hockey fan?
I'm not a huge hockey fan. I'm aware Stanley Cup playoffs are going on right now. I haven't been watching any. I do have some friends who are a little more invested. One of my friends that I work with, she's from Colorado, and keeps track of a number of sports that I don't, including hockey and lacrosse. So she's more interested, but I have no idea.
I'm a very casual hockey fan. If it happens to be on, my eyes will watch it for a little while. But I couldn't tell you where it is in the Stanley Cup Finals now. Are we to the finals, or are we still in the semis?
I don't think so.
I don't know where we are. Excited about hockey.
Finals yet. I've always had a little bit of a bone to pick with hockey.
Really? Pray
Not
tell.
like aggressively, but in the sense that as a kid in California, we didn't care. Like it exists, but it's not big.
But we had a
So
team right there in San Jose, and we didn't even know.
I mean, I knew about them because there was a kid in the grade above me who loved them, but like they were the only kid
Oh.
in the school that I knew of who liked hockey. Um, and so I just didn't get to know a lot about it. So by the time we went to Alaska and much more bigger, much more of a thing,
Mm-hmm.
I already
Everyone
was
played hockey up
invested
there.
and knew about a whole bunch of these other sports. I was playing a whole bunch of other sports. Um, the first time I saw a hockey game, I was sitting here going, cool, I don't know the rules. And then I started watching and was like, that's good and fine. And then I started trying to understand the rules and was frustratingly getting upset with the difference between hockey and soccer having some of the same rule calls defined differently. For example, the way offsides is determined, still can't figure it out. The concept of icing, the idea
Yes,
that like
I don't
you can
understand that
only
either.
be so far across the ice when the puck is in a certain part, and if it crosses a certain part while you're too far or too short, then it can stop play and be wrong.
Confusing. Yeah.
So you're telling me you can't have a breakaway with a pass? You can have a breakaway, but you have to skate it up yourself because otherwise you run danger of going too far and passing it past it. I'm probably wrong in my understanding of it too, but I think it's a dumb rule.
Wow, I feel like I opened a can of worms asking you about hockey. That's great. I don't think you're wrong on these frustrations with the sport.
I think if you
Yeah.
know and understand hockey and you've been playing it and you watch it and you enjoy it, then these things are second nature and it's fine. And maybe you complain about how they get ruled on sometimes, but you don't complain about the rule. I sit in a place where I don't understand it. My best comparison is usually like soccer, where things are drastically different, and any other sports don't really compare. Um, Maybe if I played handball, that'd be different. I don't know. I don't know.
All right, there you go. If you're a hockey fan out there and you want to school Zach, respond with what he doesn't understand about icing. Go ahead, put it down there.
Honestly,
Help him
you
out.
can be rude about it. It's okay, but I'd really just like someone to give me a good explanation so I can understand it, and then have that actually be accurate.
There you go. Okay. Different topic. Are you familiar with Chat GPT?
I am. Are you familiar with the writer's strike?
I am.
Because I think it's really,
Is Chat
really
GPT going to take
funny.
over?
Some people have been like, in light of the writer's strike, we should see what happens when we try to make ChatGPT write a script. And I'm like, no.
It might come out
One,
better.
no. One, that's just, it's not going to be good enough. Two, no, they're on strike for a valid reason. Don't outsource to a robot when they aren't being paid.
Do you remember what happened to some of our favorite shows the last time the writers went on strike?
Yeah, they
It was
happen.
miserable. I mean, Lost. It killed the show Lost.
Yeah, but we also got
they never
Dr.
recovered,
Horrible's sing-along blog because of it.
which you were big about.
It's
I'm like,
great.
whatever.
What happens with the writer's strike is things that you're invested in that are like big franchise from a studio or whatever take a dive because the quality behind it is not there. But those people are still potentially putting in their creative efforts somewhere, and we can actually support them and that and sometimes get better things. And especially when they come back and actually being paid, we get some of the best things.
You've got me thinking I should just go ask ChatGPT to start writing some scripts.
I
Not for
think you
real
will be
use,
crucified in
just
so
for
many
my
ways.
curiosity on what it would come up with. Now, for those of you who don't know, you're listening going, what the heck are they talking about? By now, hopefully you've Googled it, but ChatGPT is an IA interface that is freely available right now. You can make an account and talk with ChatGPT, ask it to do things, and it is remembering and learning its relationship with you. So the more you use it, the more the responses start to actually tailor to the kinds of things you're actually interested in looking for, because it's adapting. It's adaptive software. And it's interesting. I put something into ChatGPT yesterday. I said, what are the 5 best fantasy fiction series out there? Modern fantasy, I said. And it came back very wisely saying, well, that's rather subjective. But then it went on to say, here are 5 of the best series available based on the fandom that they've attracted. That was kind of
What a give.
the delimiter it gave. And I was very satisfied with its intelligence because it came back with Harry Potter, A Song of Ice and Fire, The King Killer Chronicle, Lord of the Rings, and The Wheel of Time. And I went, boom! Okay, you get me, ChatGPT.
Yeah, even if I'm not necessarily saying that these are the best fantasy series ever, basing it on the fandoms they attracted, no, that's valid.
And you'd be hard pressed to find fantasy fans who wouldn't at least say, yeah, I mean, that's some of the best stuff that's out there when you talk about fantasy series. I mean, Harry Potter's a different element than the others because it's really initially written towards young people. So it doesn't go nearly as deep and complex as the others, but still, for what it is, it's a quality series.
As
Sucked a lot of
strange
people
as
into
it
the
is,
fandom.
King Killer Chronicle is almost the outlier there, where it like makes sense. It has a huge following,
A huge bit
but
of a following.
it's smaller. It is incomplete. So was the Song of Ice and Fire, but there's more books at least. It is, I'd say, the least known of those, if only because it's lacking adaptations.
Right? Okay. Yep. Wheel of Time. So I mentioned it now.
Yeah,
Season 2. You got any guess now of when season 2 is going to drop on Prime Video?
I sure hope this year.
Oh, the thought that it wouldn't be this year? I'm like, are you kidding me? It's got to be this year.
I think, as much as I want it to be a summer or early fall release date, I think it's more likely going to be a late October, early November.
I could see it coming out right after Labor Day. That's a pretty common time the things release, and why not, Prime? Put it in there. Get your game on.
I could see them wanting that and then going and extending it a month or two. It's where I'm gone.
But of course, we don't control it, and Jeff Bezos doesn't listen to any of our opinions, although Alexa listens to all of them.
Probably doesn't decide that.
Not anymore, at least. He's out of direct control of that. Total different randomness.
Yeah, where are we going?
I caught a mouse yesterday.
Is it alive?
Not anymore.
Oh, you killed the mouse?
We realized there was a mouse living in the fireplace. Mom saw it the first time.
No.
And I'm
Please
like,
tell me you actually caught it and didn't just light the fireplace.
I did not just light the fireplace.
I
That
was so
might have been spectacular and awesome, but we would have had burning mouse smell in the house. And no, I wasn't going to do that.
Cruel.
So she thought a few days back, something dart from behind the bookcase that's next to the fireplace into the fireplace. But it was really fast and really small, and I didn't see anything. And so she was willing to believe maybe she'd just seen it and not, a flicker out of the side of her eye. And then a few days later, she swore she saw something go the other direction. And not at the fireplace now, but from the couch to the love seat. And she was sitting on the couch. I was sitting on the love seat. I'm like, what? Really? So I get up, go around the love seat. I tip it backwards.
Yeah.
And it darts back under the couch. And very quickly, I see it go under the couch because then I see it dart from the behind the bookcase into the fireplace. I'm like, oh yeah, look at that. We have a visitor. There's a mouse. But then I left town. The mouse just played for a few more days.
You didn't deal with the mouse.
I had
you
no
just
way
left
to deal with the
town
mouse.
And left the mouse with Mom.
Yep, and she working all the time. She didn't bother it either. But then I was back home Wednesday night, Thursday morning, I went out, did some grocery shopping, picked up mouse traps, just the traditional little mouse traps. Set one up with a little bit of smoked Gouda. Who can resist smoked Gouda? Set it out there on the fireplace, right there on the floor. We went to bed. Next morning, dead mouse. There you go. Its last moment was delicious, and the next moment after that, it wasn't thinking of anything anymore. Dead mouse. Have you ever? You've got this look on your face. You've never had to use a mouse trap, have you?
I've dealt with mice at various times without killing them.
They're kind of hard to catch.
For example, they are hard. In other turns of events, multiple times, I've got some friends who live closer to downtown in a house with a bunch of them. We call it the house because there's like 5 guys that live there. Some of them are finishing up college, some of them are done. It's a whole thing. Anyway, every couple of weeks or so, they have a possum visitor. So I have to figure out dealing with that and getting it. But they don't kill it. If you can.
Well, I wouldn't kill a possum. They're cute. I mean, they'll nasty if you corner it, but
if you can avoid it, catch it and release it outside. Don't kill it.
We never would have caught this mouse, so we had to. And years ago, this is before you were born, we had a problem at a rental with a rat. And you can use rat traps too, just like mouse traps. You can get the rat, but we didn't go that route then. We got some rat poison. Okay, that was a horrible mistake because the rat ate the poison, crawled back behind the kitchen counter stuff, and died, and we couldn't get to it. This was built-in stuff. It stunk to high heaven, and we just had to live with it till the smell finally faded. It's like, that was disgusting. No, we're mousetrap. Go on.
Another turn of events thing, I have to be relatively vague about this because I don't know that it's necessarily something that we want to publicize for the business purposes.
Okay.
However, in a fixture near, technically on property, but not in building, of where I work, pediatrics clinic.
Okay.
There is a nest of vultures.
Ooh, that's
and I think it's so cool, especially because they're protected in a way that we can't move the nest unless the babies have left, kind of thing. And if no one's there, the nest could be moved. I'm sitting here going, keep the nest. That's so cool. And it's free pickup. We have a little bit of roadkill outside. We don't have to worry about it being like a nasty detractor.
They're carrion eaters.
They'll take care of it.
Totally.
And their poop will sanitize the area.
Love it. Love it. Vultures. That's fascinating.
So
Take
cool.
a picture. Take a picture. Send me a picture at some point. I want to see.
I can't take a picture of the nest, but if I do see what, because the other day yesterday I was driving into work in the morning, and it just kind of, one of the vultures flew maybe 4 feet above my car. It's cool.
Love it. Let's see. Just a couple last things here. Any cool D&D stuff you've been up to lately?
Yes. But I think all of my D&D stuff is cool. Nothing like particularly strange and remarkable. I'm continuing to play D&D. I play and run. A few weeks back, I had a friend that I worked with. We started the same day. She recently left and is going to PA school now. Same one I'm helping move to San Antonio. But one of the things she wanted to do was always try D&D. And so I was like, yeah, sure, we'll get that together at some point. And it took us until like the weekend after her last day to get a little group together. So I did a one-shot for them that I called Stay Aliver. We played Survivor, but for reasons I can't use that name.
Sure, Stay Aliver. All right, that works.
It was good, especially when I gave them weird, funky, extra ability things, including this one guy decided he was going to be silly, and he was the only remaining and least like descendant of the dragon Smoog.
Smoog.
And I gave him the ability to call daddy at least once.
Okay.
Someone got stepped on by a dragon. It was not pretty.
All right. Witcher Season 3 is right around the corner.
Yes.
I understand it's going to drop in 5 episodes and then 5 more episodes.
They're really milking the last that they can get out of
Henry Cavill. Yeah, I am looking forward to watching, though. I'm going to be on Watt the Adaptation a few times, talking through some of these episodes. I don't know, maybe all of them. Talking with Glenn, the geeky hippie, and he was inviting me on, but I don't know if that's going to be for the whole run or hit or miss. He and I have to talk some more. But looking forward to that. And then probably won't be looking forward to Witcher Season 4.
I mean, it's not going to be Henry Cavill, but I can maybe try to approach the Hemsworth with an open mind.
Okay. The Hemsworth?
This one,
yes. Let's talk about something here. I put it out on Discord yesterday. Different topic, but it's related to what's in the background above your head.
Yeah.
I think we've kind of stalled out on Dragon Riders of Pern. Because we've gotten too busy.
I still have it planned to be loosely following schedule, which would have us finishing it next week. But
we didn't even talk about the last book.
We didn't talk about the previous book. I kind of assumed we would talk about the previous book and this book as one mega sesh.
Okay. And
there was this little thing called Jordan Con, and so it was like...
So you say per the schedule, we would be talking about it next weekend?
Yeah, but I'm also not available next weekend. So it was a whole, like, life thing.
Yeah, I think I was going to say, let's throw the schedule out the window.
Just a little bit.
And just
reset.
Put targets of, okay, by this date, we're going to read, we'll still read them in order, but kind of just thinking in the ebb and flow of how busy life is. We'll just pick a date. Let's read this one by that time. And then when we get done, we'll pick another date, and read another one. But yeah, I mean, I did finish the last one, but we had no time to talk about it. I haven't even started this one yet. I've got too much else to read right now.
So we'll have to connect with our fellow Pernies and figure out the logistics a little bit better. We are going to continue book club. It is still going, but it is pushing a little bit because of life.
Some schedule stuff in. Yeah. The last thing I wanted to talk about today was briefly just, Wheel of Time. We also kind of been slow to keep up with the Fires of Heaven of late. People's schedules have interfered. We should be doing one this weekend on a few more chapters, and you're not available. And we could only get together this early, and I had no time to prep for an episode this early. So we're going to do the next 3 chapters in a few days. We're going to do a midweek thing and get that. But if you've been waiting for more Fires of Heaven, we're sorry.
It is coming.
It's just been
slow.
It's
taking a little bit.
And honestly, it's the combination. Zach's got lots of other things he's doing, and I've only been available certain times. They haven't lined up well, but we'll get back on it because we're getting to some pretty good stuff.
Oh, I'm excited to keep going. I'm looking forward to it. Just got to make those times work out for us.
Yeah. All right. I think that's enough for today.
Yeah.
We're almost at an hour. Good place to close. Any last parting words, Zach, while I run the outro?
Do things I wouldn't do.
Do things you wouldn't do.
I told that to someone. No, it was great. I told that to someone yesterday, and they looked at me like I was crazy because I'll do plenty of things I probably shouldn't.
Right?
But
right?
I was like, no. By that I mean go out, be social, talk to people. Because I'm probably going to hide in my house and read a book. So I'm not going to be going out and having fun necessarily because I don't necessarily want to. Do things I want to do.
Well, I'm going to go out wine tasting with your mother today. So
nice.
There you go. I'll do something fun. Thanks everyone for watching. We'll talk to you next time.